I remember days when I was struggling immensely with fears and stresses about solving some insurmountable problem. I remember letting that consume me. I would call a friend or a family member and ask for advice, and everyone was helpful, but the most profound wisdom I got was from my father. He would bypass the entire situation and ask, "Are you walking with the Lord? Is your heart with Him and for Him?" That sparked a radical change of focus from what I thought were my problems to what my real problem was. It drove me to my knees. And then, through a transformed heart, God would give me the strength to battle those lesser things I'd been worried about. It turns out that revival was the answer. In the book of Judges, chapter 6, there was an unimpressive man whom God raised up for this very purpose. Year after year, nearby foreign tribes would invade Israel at harvest and steal their crops and livestock. The author describes this group of people, the Midianites, as locusts in the land. Israelites cried out to God to be delivered from these thieves from the wilderness, but God pointed out to them through a prophet that Israel had abandoned Him and had been worshiping the false gods of the land they were living in. Nevertheless, the Lord raised up a hero to deliver them named Gideon. He felt completely unequipped for the task of fighting, but he was willing to go. Interestingly, the first thing he would have to do, though, was to tear down the altar to the false god Baal that his family and town had been worshiping. The text says that he was very afraid to do this because he knew the anger of his family and his town could cost him his life. But if rescue was going to come into Israel, it wasn't going to come apart from revival. The people wanted to be saved from their enemies, but God wanted to save their souls. The people wanted changed circumstances, but God wanted changed hearts. So, at night, Gideon and 10 of his servants went up and tore down the altar and other symbols of false worship. In the morning, the men of the town were enraged, figured out it was Gideon, and called for him to be killed. But Gideon's father stood in the way and said, "Baal is a god, so let Baal defend himself." The townsmen agreed, and Gideon was renamed Jerubbaal, which means, "Let Baal fight against him." Of course, Baal never showed up to the fight. Instead, God had established his new hero through a radical act of revival. You and I pray for things to get better. But like the Israelites, we want God's deliverance instead of wanting God Himself. As a result, we maintain sinful habits in our lives like laziness, inaction, or more outward sins while wishing things were better and wishing we had peace and wishing our family was closer to God and wondering why He's not doing anything. But the Lord reminds us, sometimes through a prophetic voice we weren't expecting, or through the whisper of the Holy Spirit, that He never abandoned us. It's we who walk away from Him. So I'll ask you questions that I'm asking myself. Do you want better circumstances, or do you want the Lord? What altars to false gods have to be torn down for you and your family to pursue Him?